Hello, hello, gorgeous. Welcome back to the Unstoppable You podcast. I'm your host, Evie, and I am a life and confidence coach and business mentor. Welcome to the show. Hello, if you're watching over on YouTube or if you're an OG podcaster listening to the audio version. Hi, thanks for being here. So excited for today's conversation. We're talking about really some of the key things I believe that you should be focusing on this year in business if you want to create a business with soul, with love, with integrity, and also creating the impact that you really want to have with your gifts. You were in the right place if you wanted to hear that. And today, before we dive in, normally I would share a quote, and we've got something slightly different. I thought instead of doing a quote, what was really coming up for me was I pulled some cards this morning from an oracle card deck that I have. It's Rebecca Campbell's deck, the Starseed Oracle deck. So normally I use her Work Your Light ones, I believe it's called. Well, that's just the ones that by my bed where I normally use, but these ones are down in my office and I use these ones today. And yeah, a beautiful card popped up for me. So the card that I got or they pulled was Jump In. And it says, actually, I'll read out a passage from this because this is the quote or the message that I wanted to share with you all today. So this is it. Life bends for the courageous, and the courageous is what you're being called to be. You're already facing the right direction. The only thing left to do is leap. You'll figure out the details as you go along. Things may not always be smooth sailing. Life on earth really is. However, it's the rougher seas that teach us how to sail with glory. And once you know that, you can navigate any sea, ocean, or storm. Isn't that so beautiful? I think I just love this so much. I'm going to share that again with you all. Okay. Life bends for the courageous, and the courageous is what you're being called to be. You're already facing the right direction. The only thing left to do is leap. You'll figure out the details as you go along. Things may not always be smooth sailing. Life on earth really is. However, it's the rougher seas that teach us how to sail with glory. And once you know that, you can navigate any sea, ocean, or storm. Isn't that so beautiful? So that's from the gorgeous Rebecca Campbell and her the Starseed Oracle card deck, and specifically the Jump-In card. Oh, love that. I don't know who needed to hear that today, but I hope it lands. I hope it resonates with you. Now, let's dive into today's conversation. First things first, though, if you want to work with me this year in a one-to-one capacity, I have a few spots open for one-to-one life coaching or one-to-one business coaching, or we can also obviously do a blend of both if that's for you. So I will link all of the stuff in the show notes or the description below. So jump on in, send me a DM, or we can book a free call and chat about it, get to know each other, and you can feel into if this is the right decision for you and your business this year. Alrighty, so what we're going to talk about today is about some of the key things that I think are really important to be focusing on this year in business in particular. If you want to create more impact, if you want to grow your community and your reach and expand your beautiful light work, your soul's work, then yeah, this is for you. Now, this is something that it's kind of like the idea came to me because it's a masterclass and a workshop that I ran for my masterminders just recently in January last month, just a couple of weeks ago. And we were talking about some of these, what I would call quote unquote trends or the forecast for this year. But really, I was thinking about these are really core concepts that I think we should be all nailing in business, no matter what stage of business that you're at. And I've kind of grouped them into some kind of marketing content type ideas, and then also some trends or some things that I'm thinking and feeling into will be really important in terms of your offers in your business this year. So these are specifically for if you have an online service-based business, and if you're a heart-led, soul-led human and you are a coach or a creative or a consultant, you're a healer, a space holder, someone in that realm, and you really want to make beautiful impact with your work, then these are the things that I think are really important for you to focus on. And I thought, why not create this as a podcast episode so you can come back to this, listen, share it with your friends, and take notes. I think this is the key point I would really share and would love to invite you to do, is to really think about, how can I apply these concepts to my business? How can I make this relevant for me? Like, what areas do I feel like I need to step up in or grow into, or expand into more and more? So just put that through your own lens and your own unique business when you're thinking about or listening to some of these things. Okay, so let's dive in. So let's talk a bit more about marketing in particular, and some of the key things that I think are really important this year, are working really well, and things that I think you all need to be focusing on. Okay, so it's no secret that video content is big right now, and it's going to be here to stay. I really believe it is. And so I think we need to be nailing our video content. So obviously video content can take lots of different forms or be used in different platforms in different ways. But I think if you can nail really good, high quality, not necessarily high quality, but really good video content and use that throughout your business, I think this is going to be really, really supportive for your marketing and your content strategy. We know that, video is just such a huge thing. If we think about the way that we've seen the changes in, for example, Instagram, one of the big social media platforms. If we look at TikTok, so much of this, they're pushing the reels, they're pushing the video content on these platforms. So what does that look like for you? Could that be Instagram stories or TikTok stories? Could it be reels or little videos that you create for these platforms? Could it be YouTube maybe? Is it longer form videos that you want to create? Or YouTube Shorts, of course, can be shorter form as well. And if you have a podcast or want to start your own podcast, maybe thinking about how I could create this as a video podcast as well. And as you'll know, I've journeyed through this as well. Actually, that's another podcast I'm reminding myself of to create, is about my YouTube journey and decisions. But what I was sharing there is, if you're starting your own podcast or have your own podcast already, I think adding the video component in doesn't take a whole lot more time and effort. Obviously, there's a little bit more tech involved and maybe a wee bit more time, but really it's really just being smart about your content. If you're already creating this in an audio form, how can we be using that? How can we add in the video that then allows you to use that piece of content in so many different ways and for different platforms? Like, it really makes a lot of sense, right? So that's a big fan of mine, and I would really offer this, if this feels good for you, is thinking about repurposing your content. And if I'm creating a hero piece of content, which would most likely be a podcast for you if you've got a podcast, or it could be an email or a vlog or a blog of some sort, or a juicier piece of content that you can then repurpose for the different social media platforms or your different marketing channels. So video is the way of the future. It is absolutely here already and absolutely here to stay. And I think it's only going to become more obvious and more evident that we really need to be doing more video content. One of the big reasons why I think video content is really important and it's going to be here to stay, and I had an example of this just recently from my own video podcast, obviously, and that was that your ability to connect more with your community. Having video over and above audio, like the podcast, I still feel like I share so much on here, right? But watching me, seeing my facial expressions, feeling my energy even more so than you would through an audio form, allows you to connect so much more with me. And someone recently shared this with me and sent me a DM about they, for the first time a couple of weeks ago, watched the podcast on YouTube instead of the audio form, which she would normally have done. And she just loved it so much more, and that she just felt way more connected to me. And I think this is really important, where people can see your face and your energy. They can hear your voice and your energy, obviously, like speaking to camera on loads of different social media platforms in different ways is just such a beautiful way to connect with people online. It's exactly what we do in person, right? Every day to day life. But when we're thinking about the online world and online business, this is so important to remember. So it just adds more authenticity, more connection, more vulnerability sometimes as well. And it's absolutely here to stay. So thinking about video content in your marketing plans. I also think long form content is here to stay as well. And I talked a little bit about this last year, and I again just the more I journey into this myself, the more time goes past, I just really think it's really important, and people are really craving it right now. We've seen a lot of those like quick, short, couple of second videos, little funny memes, little reels. And I think they're here to stay, at least for a while, but I think we're really craving that deeper connection, the like more depth, the explanation, the being able to learn more and understand more. And so I think absolutely use some of the short form content for sure. And it's not that you want everything to be long form content in your business, but I think how can you start to weave in more? Is that through a newsletter or an email of some sort where you're giving more context, more depth, more story, more teaching, education, etc.? Is that through a vlog, like a YouTube or a video vlog? Is it a blog? Is it a longer post, or yeah, something like a bit more juicy and meatier where you can really go into detail? And I think people are wanting more of that richness, because we can flick through 1,000 reels and it's like, oh, that's funny, oh, I like that, but where's the substance, right? And I think we're really lacking that and craving that, especially if you're a soul-led entrepreneur. So I think this is important to remember. The third one is email marketing. I've talked about this a wee bit, and it kind of goes hand in hand with the longer form content. But what I'm seeing is probably more of a shift to like those old school newsletters where it's like, show me some photos, show me some context, like give me a story, tell me a bit more about some behind the scenes things, like open shares, thoughtful emails and newsletters to your community. Not just emailing when you have something to sell or when you've got spaces available. Really thinking about how can I nurture my community, consistently over a longer period of time with real substance, with real heartfelt content, and really being intentional with it. So email marketing is always going to be a must, has been a must, but just really thinking about, well, how can I do it more like a love letter or more like a story and more depth, more richness, etc. I think that that's really important, and we're really craving that. And then, of course, I've shared this before, but I think this, again, is going to be, it's just really important. People want this, more behind the scenes stuff, more real talk, more vulnerability, more connection points or deeper connections, and being able to form deeper connections with businesses and brands and space holders. This is just it, right? Like people really want to see you, the behind the scenes stuff, the human that you are, not just always the educational stuff or sharing content that is directly selling something. It's also about sharing more of you and your personality and your authenticity and your vulnerability. And again, that connects people so much. One of my recent podcast and YouTube videos about it was called Real Talk, and it was my greatest challenge at the moment and how I'm navigating it, where it was quite an open, vulnerable one. It was real talk, and it was also some education as well and support about some of the things that are really supporting me. But because I was so open and sharing that, it's just opened up so many wonderful conversations after that podcast episode. Lots of emails and DMs that came in, saying thank you and how it resonated with them, and that there's just so much more connection and authenticity that comes through when we do that kind of thing. So please continue to do more of that, or maybe this is your loving nudge to lean into that a wee bit more in your business. And obviously, you don't have to share everything and anything. You obviously can decide what feels right and true for you as a business owner and as a human. But if you can share a wee bit more of that, I think that that's going to do yourself and your community and your business growth a huge service. Okay, now kind of similar along the same line of thinking. There's some similarities, so you won't be surprised with some of these things, I think. But when it comes to your offers in your business, what I'm seeing and feeling into that is going to be a really important thing for this year, for 2025, is more more in-person connections, more opportunities to connect in person. I think we're just craving that as a whole at the moment. I know I certainly am, as an individual, as a human, and I think we are just generally wanting more of that. And I think we've seen that for some time now, especially after the COVID season and years. But I just feel like this is something that, just with the growth of technology in the online space as well, that's so wonderful and gives us so many opportunities to connect with other people in different locations and, broaden our horizons in many ways. I still think like rich, deep in-person time and connections is so important, and we're craving a lot of that. So if that feels right and true for you and your unique business, and you want to lean into this more or do more of this year, then yes to that. Full encouragement to do more of that. So is that classes? Is that workshops? Is that day retreats or weekend retreats or longer retreats? Is that, VIP immersions? Is that, more of the networking connection type events? Whatever it is for you. Just really thinking about how could I do more of that this year, I think will be really supportive for you. I also think, which is similar to much of the sort of theme of what I'm sharing here today, is that I think we're wanting and craving deeper, richer, immersive experiences. And so if you're a coach or a service provider, a space holder, anyone in the healing space, and you have a service to provide, I think if you can if you do one-to-one services of some sort, I think there's going to be, perhaps, I don't think they've ever gone away, but I think perhaps there's more of a desire for them this year. And it's not to say that groups and masterminds and those sorts of things are not important and not desired at the moment. I just feel like those deeper, richer experiences are really needed, and people are wanting them a lot more. So, if you've got that offer, I would really double down on that. Or if you're thinking about leaving that off, if it still feels true and right to offer that, keep it going. I think a one-to-one experience is always going to be the greatest transformation that you can provide someone, because there's that depth, there's that intimacy, there's the it's just so personalized and unique to them and their journey. It's one of the reasons why I absolutely love one-to-one, and have always offered it and will continue to always offer it, because it's just such a beautiful gift to give someone, whether that's in the life or the business coaching space. For me personally, I would love that. So remember, there's a few spots if you're keen to come join me this year. I would love that so much. And the other thing that I have is probably just more, not necessarily a trend, but just something that I'm sensing and feeling into, is creating lower cost offers in your business that can funnel people through into your higher offers or your longer term programs. And obviously, I think free content and free masterclasses, trainings, experiences, freebies, all of that stuff is important, and you should add that into your funnels. But really thinking about what is the customer journey and the long-term customer or client journey for you in your unique business. And I think that having a low cost paid offer that gives them lots of value, that can really give them an experience of you and your gifts and your wisdom and your magic, that then supports you to sell in your longer term programs or your higher ticket items. I think that's really important. And I think that might be a strategy to play around with and feel into, if that feels good for you. So just really thinking about that customer journey and how this could work into your specific business and your unique business. So that's not to say that we need to ditch everything else and only create that. Just thinking about, maybe this could be a part of my strategy, or try it out at least and see how it goes. Look, I think the biggest thing that I wanted to share here is just that overarching theme of, we want deeper, richer experiences and connection points, behind the scenes stuff, real talk, vulnerability, all of those wonderful things, video content, longer form content that enables you to do that through your marketing and through your content, but also in terms of your offers, in person, one-to-one, rich, deep, immersive experiences. I think so much of that is needed and desired for so many. And so, maybe consider how you can start to apply some of these things in your own business to create more connection, more growth, more impact, and just to keep expanding and growing your soul work this year. So I'm really keen to hear your thoughts as well. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What are you feeling into? Do you want to see more long form content or more video content? Or like, what are you loving as a client, as a consumer, as a human, and also in your business? What are you feeling into? How are you doing this? What have you seen works really well for you? So would love to hear your thoughts and your take. DM me on Instagram if you want to have a chat about it, or yeah, pop your feedback in the comments below or the description below. I would love to hear that from you. So, my loves, just a reminder, there is a couple of spots for one-to-one life coaching and one-to-one business coaching available with me this year, really soon coming up. So if you are interested in growing your beautiful soul-led business and creating really big impact this year, I'm your gal. And in the life coaching space, gosh, this could be about so much, but so many of the things that I love to support women around is their confidence, their mindset, their self-belief, their self-worth. And I think worthiness is something that underpins so much. Almost every single client of mine in the past really underpins so much of what we do, how we show up in the world, what we believe is possible for us. And I think that if I can give you one gift, it would be to create unstoppable self-belief and confidence and to really own your self-worth. Then life just opens up and feels so much more magical. I'm really excited for you. Anyway, my loves, let me know if you're interested. I'll share all the contact details, links, etc. in the description below or the show notes. Thank you so much for sharing this time and space with me. Let me know if you've loved this. Don't forget to hit subscribe over on YouTube so we can get this out to more humans, and share this podcast with as many humans as you want, if you think this will be really supportive for them. I would love that. All right, my lovelies, thank you so much for being here. I will see you all again really soon.